let Caroline, I'll introduce Caroline. If you guys got any questions along the way, she's going to introduce kind of where she started from. She's the CEO, founder, every part of medical that she's been in. She'll introduce that part of herself. So very knowledgeable lady. So she'll start out and just start talking a little bit of where she started, why she started, how it came about, and where she's at now with it. So, so introduce with that about Caroline Stites. So any questions you got, just show them out or let me know, and I'll relay it to her. But, hopefully, it's very informative for you, and you get lots out of it. You take a lot of it. You all set, girl?
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for showing up. And I hope you'll learn something great from this. I'll give you, first I want to introduce a couple of people. So RJ, this is my husband, and also very key in the business. He's a huge help. He'll be here to answer questions as well. Just wanted to introduce him, and then my business partner. So I couldn't have done this without him. This is Dr. Carl Cadwell. He helped make this buildable. He comes from a long history of manufacturing and medical industry, and he took everything I believed in and everything I loved and helped make it buildable. So, and he also has a gym like you with a huge wellness component. So I don't know if you got to meet him when you were down here, Jamie.
No, I did not, unfortunately.
No, I must have been out of town playing. I was probably water skiing somewhere. So that's I water ski, snow ski. I'm really ancient and I love playing, and this stuff just keeps me going. I love it. So it can keep you guys going too. It works in Canada, I heard, just as well. So thank you.
Yeah, he's just about to have his 80th birthday, and he's still super active. He's been using this technology since, I don't know, 12 years since my last company. So
yeah. So it's great to have you. Caroline is amazing. I've learned so much from her. She is a naturopath, which you probably know, but she's way more than that. She's so intuitive about what helps people heal and what makes them really come alive again, and how do you get to the root problem, the underlying cause, and making it happen. So this is going to be an exciting time of Caroline sharing. I hope you give her some really tough questions, because the ones she can't answer, I can't answer either. So yeah, sit back, relax, have a great time.
So I'm going to do just a few slides to kind of tell you what VibraGenix is, but to start with, I want to tell you how I got here. So I was raised in a family of medical doctors. All the women in my family are medical doctors, and I'm 58 years old. And I didn't realize this, but they were definitely pioneers, and I grew up believing I could do anything. I could be a doctor, anything I wanted. By the time I was 5, I decided I wanted to be an MD, kind of follow in their footsteps. I really kind of worshiped the ground they walked on and what they could do for people. And then it wasn't until I was close to going to medical school that I sat down with my aunt and I said, how come we're just managing illness? How come we're not creating wellness in the body? And she said, this is all the tools we're given in traditional medicine. So I kind of took a hard right and went into naturopathic medicine, went back and got my master's in nutrition because I felt like that was such a key component. And then I find myself in practice, and I'm not prescribing necessarily pharmaceuticals if I can possibly help it, but still prescribing handfuls of supplements. And it seemed like it was a slow way to go, and it was still overwhelming the liver. And I thought, okay, there has to be a better way. And so I started really looking at the human body. And, I was kind of raised to believe that our basic building block was the cell, but it's really not. It's the atom. We are this amazing energy field. So I thought, okay, so how do we treat the body if it's an energy field? Why don't we treat it with energy medicine or frequency medicine? And that's kind of how I got here. I started studying all kinds of frequency medicine, trying to put it together into one system that was really applicable to so many people, that had something for just about everybody. And that's how I ended up with VibraGenix. And Carl helped me make it buildable so I could get it out to as many people as possible. So that's kind of how I got here, a little bit of my background. I'm going to share a few slides. There's only, I think, 5 of them. I can do this without my IT person.
See it.
Woohoo, can you see it?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, perfect. So VibraGenix is frequency healing. It is something that's never been done before. And it's combining all kinds of frequency medicine into one system. So it covers everything from DNA repair. It brings in the Eastern medicine components. It addresses the brain balancing. And that's really critical for the functioning of the body.
Oh.
Scalar wave technology. That's okay. Just
Thought you gave me a hand.
Archie's helping. Anyway, it has scalar wave technology, which we'll touch on here in a minute, but it works for so many things. So for mood elevation is really profound. Now, I don't know about Canada, but I know in the US that antidepressants are the number one prescription, the number one pharmaceutical. And with frequency medicine, you can actually increase serotonin and lift that cloud without having to take the pharmaceuticals. Does a really good job of that. Another thing it's really profound for is pain relief. There are so many frequency formulas for different types of pain in the body. And that is the number two pharmaceutical. So my idea was, even if I could get people out of pain and relieve their depression, I can really change people's lives for the better. There's also a huge anti-aging component. It really regenerates and turns the clock back. As you can see in Carl, he's 80, but he's still extremely active, does a lot of things. I am as well. Do a lot of water skiing, snow skiing, all kinds of things. And it invigorates your cells. It raises the vibrational frequency and helps your body regenerate, because you're constantly making new cells. Every 48 hours you have new rods and cones in your eyes. Every 2 years you have a new liver. So depending on the health of those cells, you're either creating more healthy or less healthy cells, older or younger cells. Brain balance, really, really critical. Most people have heard of binaural beats. We actually have a trilateral balance sine wave, or a trinaural beat. So there's a tone for the midbrain or base brain. So it's far more effective at bringing the brain back into balance, so it functions really well. It's really great for weight loss. I've done some weight loss programs that were really effective. We have the frequencies for cavitation and lipolysis that they use in non-invasive lipo, plus thyroid frequencies that increase your metabolism. So it really helps with the weight loss. And I find if you put it with the mood elevation and stress relief formula, it works even better. It's probably the best thing I've ever seen for lymphatic movement. So most people don't really understand the lymphatic system, but there are vessels that parallel your veins and your arteries all over your body. And the problem is the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, right? It relies on muscle action and one-way valves to move the lymph through. So if you are not getting adequate exercise, which unfortunately applies to a lot of people, you're not moving the lymph effectively. And traditional medicine now looks at this as being the underlying cause of all disease. So there's scalar wave technology. This is something that Tesla discovered, created a scalar wave generator for tachyon energy. It's just one of the fastest ways outside of sonic vibration to get the energy in your body up, the energy in every cell, which is exactly what you want. Super effective for veterinary medicine. I would say in some cases even more effective than on people, because animals are very instinctive as to what's good for them. So they get on it and they absolutely love it. Even dogs, which you would think with the sound, they wouldn't like it, but they absolutely love it. And they respond really, really quickly. Incredible for increasing your cell voltage. So Otto Warburg, he won a Nobel Prize for his work in cell voltage. And he said that if you can get the cell voltage up, the body spontaneously heals itself. And if you actually look at live blood cell analysis before and after just 10 minutes on this technology, there's a massive increase in cell voltage. And that's exactly what you want. So meditation kind of brings in the Eastern medicine, the chakra, ancient tones, that kind of thing. Really important for aligning your mind, body, spirit. A lot of people find it very hard to meditate, but if you run the programs for chakra balancing, ancient tones, and then brain balancing with scalar waves, you can usually slide right into that state. And once you're aligned, it's much easier to heal. There's also a huge athletic component. We actually have a program called Peak Performance, and it really helps athletes with neuromuscular entrainment. We've had amazing, amazing results with healing things like high ankle sprains in 4 days. All kinds of back injuries. We'll actually have people lay down on the plate and put those frequencies for inflammation and back pain due to injury right into the back and put the cell exciters on the front. And it's amazing how fast the back pain will go away. So great, really great for athletes. And, the thing with athletes, especially when they're performing, or when they're training and playing, they are always in a state of needing to be repaired. They're not fully recovered. And that's when they're a lot more prone to injury. They do, their practice, and then they do lifting, strength training, and then they go play a game. They never quite get recovered fast enough. And that's when you get injuries. But if you get injuries, it takes a fraction of the time to heal. So this is what I find that a lot of people are looking for. There's a big increase in lymphedema, and that's when your lymphatic vessel actually becomes so full of lymph fluid that actually leaks out into the tissues, and you'll get swelling in the legs and arms sometimes, and really hard to get that movement, that lymphatic fluid moving. A lot of people will do lymphatic massage. This I find is far more effective. And people can usually stop doing lymphatic massage once they do this regularly. Weight loss, we talked about that, anti-aging. For neuropathy and nerve disorders, that's really common. A lot of people have issues with nerve disorders and neuropathy in their feet. This is great for that, for all kinds of foot conditions. Long haul COVID. So we have a formula for long haul COVID. And this is something that traditional medicine is really struggling with. COVID, for some reason, will kind of go dormant in the system like other diseases, but it'll kind of go into an organ or an area in the body and doesn't go away. So people have these symptoms afterwards that just linger on and on and on, sometimes 2 and 3 years. And the long haul COVID frequency formula will actually knock that out of the system. Stroke recovery, really good frequencies for that. I have my own personal story. I had some really high stress last year, and I had 2 TIAs, one in September and October, and I am not a candidate for that. I have none of the markers. I eat cleaner than anyone I know, but having high emotional stress for an entire year kind of brought me to that point. Some people say, should this have prevented it? Well, maybe, but I do believe there's things in your life that you really do have to change to get rid of that stress, which is what I did. It was a good wake-up call for me. But using the frequency formulas out of here for stroke recovery, I had a really rapid recovery from both of them. So it was like 1 hour and 20 minutes after the second one, and it was the worst one. So really believe in this for the first time in my life for emergency medicine. DNA repair, it does a great job at DNA repair. It has the scalar wave technology we spoke about. As far as emotional clearing, so this is really amazing technology. It was first invented, actually, the sound vibration was first invented in Korea, and it was in conjunction with Qigong Association. Now, Qigong is very much like Harvard here, very respected. Qigong is all about energy movement in the body. And what happens is we tend to get trauma blocks. It can be from an accident, it can be from an injury, from a surgery, from an emotional situation, whatever it is. But that trauma gets blocked on our system and it causes disorder, dysfunction, and disease. So really fantastic for getting rid of those energy blocks. Clearing the trauma for sure. And then urological issues. So we have frequencies for shattering kidney stones. Work really well. It usually takes us about 2 sessions for increasing kidney function. If people have low GFRs and have, we've kept people off dialysis, we've brought them from low back to normal. Really amazing for that. For things like incontinence, the frequencies work really well. I know that traditional medicine has a drug for that, but it kind of dries you out, has a lot of other side effects, doesn't work completely for most people, but it works really, really well with the frequencies. So I thought I'd throw this in. So this is not your mama or your grandmama's shaker machine. And it's not a traditional vibrational plate. And it's not even a power plate. So all of these mechanical vibrational devices, they will shake your cells, but they won't do anything on live blood cell analysis to actually increase the energy inside the cell. And that's actually the magic, because you get your body to start healing itself. So it's basically giving you the tool you need to do self-healing. So your smallest particle in your body is actually your atom. It's not your cell. And like I said, we always focused on the cells and cellular health before, but your cells are made up of a whole bunch of atoms. And atoms are really amazing, actually, if you look at them. They're this bundle of vibrant, moving energy. So you have electrons spinning around at nearly the speed of light. You have the nucleus with the protons and the neutrons, and that atom is actually 99.99999% space. So what you're dealing with, most people think of the human body as, your organs and your systems and your bones and your muscles and all that kind of thing. They don't think about the fact that we are this massive energy field in addition to that. Now, this is actually the field that has been established by science that goes around the human body. It's called a toroidal field of energy. And so it extends way out past your actual physical body. And that field is constantly emitting information. It's emotional information, light, subtle energy, all kinds of things. And this is how we interact with other people passing through our field. We exchange information. So this moving field is going through your chakras. Now, chakras, Eastern medicine, a lot of people think that's kind of woo-woo, but these are energy centers. Chakra means wheel. It's an energy center that goes right through these sections of your body, right through your spine. So if you have an energy blockage there, it will not only reduce the energy that is in your spine, that goes to the nerves, that go to every organ and every system in your body, it will really disrupt your toroidal field. There's a second wave of energy that comes down from source into the earth and back, and all of this is going through your chakras. So I can't stress, that enough to get the chakras all cleared. I mean, Eastern medicine is much, much older than Western medicine. And there are certain disorders and dysfunctions that go along with each energy center being blocked. So really important to get those clear. And that's one of the wonderful things about this technology. So VibraGenix is really what I built to be a bridge. So traditional medicine, love it. There's things about it, emergency medicine. If I'm in an accident, I want to go to a hospital. Exactly where I want to be. Traditional medicine embraces this technology for its ability to exercise the body. So in 10 minutes, you get what's equal to an hour's worth of cardio, like an hour walk outside, as far as energy movement in the body, lymphatic circulation, blood circulation, bone density increase, all the things you would get from traditional medicine. Really, really profound with that lymphatic circulation. So drawbacks in traditional medicine, we all know it's just drugs and surgery. We need more. So I wanted a bridge. So naturopathic medicine, very much involved with the same thing. I mean, it's very interested in the health of the body and exercise and all that sort of thing, but it also looks at your emotional health, your toxic overload, your cell voltage, your brain function. The only drawback there, what I found is, prescribing handfuls of supplements, which again is just too much for the liver to process. Eastern medicine, energy field, mind, body, spirit connection, clearing your trauma, all of that. It's just amazing. And to integrate all of these traditions, which I believe in them all, or studying them all, I believe in them all, is what I believe VibraGenix is all about. Here's a couple of pictures for you. So there's a lot of applications. This is Dr. Fab Mancini over here on the left-hand side. He was actually the president of Parker Chiropractic for 13 years. He has one in his home, uses it every day, absolutely loves it. One of our favorite puppies uses it all the time. It's where she likes to be. And this is Carl helping train a couple of people on the Elite. When you have the Elite, you can put 2 people on it at a time. My husband and I get on it every morning, and kind of gives you some extra bonding time, a little extra exercise. Try not to drink your coffee on it, though. I'm always trying to get him to stop doing that. Hit certain frequencies, and then there's coffee on the plate. And This is a bodybuilder on the right. Oh, okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this now. I don't think you need to go into testimonials of anything. How do I do this?
Stop sharing.
Stop sharing.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, hopefully that gave you a little bit of an overview of what this technology is. It is, it looks like a vibe plate, is the opposite of that. It's just meant to give people as many healing frequencies as possible, both to go after a root problem. Like Carl said, I'm always looking at the root cause of something and then treating the most extreme symptoms. And then I usually pair it with all of the energy system clearing things, because once you get that trauma out of your system, your body has a chance to heal itself. If you have heart trauma, emotional trauma, especially for women, a lot of times it goes there. And what they found is if that chakra, that energy center is blocked, it can lead to things like lung problems, breast cancer, issues like that, stomach, any of the like second, third chakra can lead to any kind of like colon cancer, intestinal problems, that sort of thing. So just really important for prevention as well as treatment. It's a really powerful tool. Anybody have a question for me? Go ahead and hit me.
Any physical disabilities or health issues that could stop you from using the machine?
Yeah, so if you have had the contraindications, if you've had a complete hip replacement, you need to wait for a year. If you've had a complete knee replacement, you need to wait for 9 months. If you have a pacemaker, you cannot lay down on the plate, but you can stand on it. So this is entirely sound. There's no mechanics in this at all. You're actually moving in a sine wave when it's pushing the plate. There's 3 powerful voice coils in the base, and it's the magnetic flux density that's actually pushing the plate up. So other than that, it's kind of like being in front of or on top of subwoofers as far as the movement. And it has the same effect on a pacemaker as sitting in front of your stereo. So I just wouldn't lay down on the plate because there's neodymium magnets in the plate. Don't want to offset the rhythm there.
So you can stand.
You can definitely stand on it though. You guys can pop in here. They can ask everybody questions. They're on the sidelines. Here,
Here, I wish I had a speaker.
hit us with anything. Pretty sure one of us could cover it.
How do you determine which programs are beneficial, like to group together, or does one do you get access to all programs when you stand on
I did not hear all of that.
Okay,
it?
I'll try to read it. So, how do you determine what programs that you apply, and how do you group them together, or which ways you group them together for your ailments?
Right.
Or-
You asked Jamie.
You heard that, right?
RJ's always passing the buck, eh?
It was 2 very long days.
Yeah, you
So-
taught me very well. You taught me very well. Thanks for that.
Something that works really well is something that Jamie does, and that's running all the chakras, all the ancient tones, because you get the DNA repair, you get the, emotional clearing, trauma clearing, all of that kind of stuff, release of, guilt and fear and all that kind of thing. And then doing the brain balancing with rejuvenation, which gives you even more DNA repair and the scalar wave energy to really boost your cell voltage so your body can heal itself. And then pick your root problem. So usually when I have complex patients that have a lot of things that have gone wrong, I try to figure out what happened first. Okay, there's a domino effect with your health. So it could be a car accident, it could be a spider bite, it could be a lot of things. I try to figure out what that issue was before the dominoes all started falling. That's your root issue. I treat that, and then your worst symptom at that end. And if you have something really extraordinary, I mean, you can always reach out. Jamie can always reach out, and I can give them specific protocols for you. I have lots of them already, but can do them on the fly as well. I know this system inside out and backwards.
Caroline, why don't you talk a little bit about post-COVID. I assume that's happening up in Canada as well as here. We see so many people with that. Why don't you tell them what we're doing with that and what the results have been?
Yeah, so there's coronavirus SARS frequencies. Coronavirus SARS was actually the original cold. And those frequencies we're finding still work really, really well for cleanup, even in these like, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth generation waves that are going through. So that and immune system stimulation. Now that I know there's a lot of controversy on vax, no vax, and I don't get involved with that. But I do know that when you've been vaccinated, what medical doctors are finding now, this is not coming from me, this is coming from the traditional medical community, is that the immunizations have somehow they wipe out the immune system. So then it sets people up for other things like bronchitis, pneumonia, and they can't seem to shake it. You know, they're on round after round of antibiotics and they have all this RSV and everything else going on. So rebooting your immune system with the immune system stimulation frequency is really, really important. But we can also treat whatever the symptoms are, the shortness of breath, anything like that, the fatigue, get that cell voltage up. And it's just really effective. I mean, I get people right after that still have, you know, the loss of taste, they still have shortness of breath, they still have the fatigue, and we can usually get them over all that in a week. I had a lady, she's 82 years old, and she got COVID in 2020. And by 2021, she started having other symptoms that were just like something wasn't right. And she kept going downhill and downhill, went to 12 medical doctors. And they said her blood's good. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She was ready. She told her husband, I'm going to be gone by Christmas. Let's get our paperwork in order. And they happened to live in a town where somebody had a machine in their home. They went over to their home. People said, what do I put her on? I gave them the list of what to put her on. And it took 4 days. She went back 4 days in a row and she made such a turn. They bought a machine within 2 weeks. She was bouncing around. They had us come down because all their neighbors were like, what is going on with Patty? She was like shuffling, could barely walk to the mailbox. Now she's walking in the mailbox and she's getting the mail and she's pulling weeds on the way there and on the way back. And so we came down and met with all their neighbors, and she's just out throwing the frisbee. She was waiting on everybody. You want lemonade? You want fruit? It was pretty amazing to see, but that coronavirus is set up in her lungs. So she felt like she had a dark cloud in her lungs and she just couldn't breathe, couldn't get any energy. She'd gone from 125 to 104 pounds, and it just completely turned her life around.
Next question about stroke victims. Caroline?
Stroke victims. So there's stroke follow-up frequencies, and especially if you can address the situation right out the gate, you recover very, very quickly. TIAs are small strokes, and that's what I had. So the stroke follow-up, the inflammation frequencies, so you do the 6th and 7th chakra because you're addressing the brain. Any of the brain balancing with scalar waves, I use the rejuvenation, really works well in combination. And I also use the oxygen concentrator with the machine. It's one of your best tools actually, because when you're on this machine, and one of the reasons it works so well is because it's sound-based. So not only are you like all this atomic space, but you are mostly water, and sound travels 5 times faster through water. So it literally affects every cell in your body at the same time. So being on the machine when 100 trillion cells are being stimulated is the best time to bring in oxygen, because when that cell voltage goes up, your cells push away from each other because they have an overall negative surface area. And negative repels, or when they push away from each other, all of that surface area has all these sodium potassium pumps that exchange oxygen and nutrients. So they start bringing in more oxygen and nutrients, getting rid of waste products, and start healing themselves.
How does the system work for neuropathy?
How does the system work for neuropathy? You get that one,
We
Caroline?
couldn't hear.
You still hear me?
Just speak up a little bit, please.
Couldn't hear a question, if there was one.
If you can hear it, then repeat it.
Yeah.
How does the system work for neuropathy?
For neuropathies. Okay, so there are frequencies in there specifically for neuropathy, and it really helps regenerate the nerves. Plantar fasciitis, same thing, takes away the pain, regenerates the nerves. does a great job of that. I also use the scalar wave technology at the same time. And any inflammation frequencies, anybody with feet problem definitely needs the inflammation frequencies. But there's over 1,000 frequency formulas. So if you don't have the list,
I have it.
if RJ didn't send Jamie the list, there's a printable list, so you can just kind of scan down through and find what you need for yourself.
Yeah, we had a guy come in a couple days ago from Oregon, was on the machine, laid him on his back. We treated him for neuropathy and pain, and he got off after 20 minutes and said, my back hasn't felt this good in a decade.
How often do you have to stay on the machine to keep in good health?
Well, it's one thing I can tell you is if you have the machine, you'll never stop using it. It's not like a treadmill. It will never become a clothes hanger. It is literally my frequency medicine cabinet. I use it for everything from any kind of pain or headaches to fatigue to, elevating mood. Yeah. Constipation. Yes.
Oh. They don't have that up there.
Whatever comes across.
They don't have that in Canada.
Pretty active, don't have much wrong, and we're on there at least twice a day for various stress relief, insomnia, whatever you're dealing with at that day or that week.
But it will continually keep building your cell voltage, and that is the key to healing. So your body's cell voltage will get up high enough to maintain itself. But if you're dealing with something like cancer or something chronic, your cell voltage is usually around -15 to -20 millivolts, and you have to get it up to -70 to -90 millivolts. Really, really important.
It's worth a try, let's put it that way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of it, we find success in just even the sports recovery activity. So that's where I'm saying we use it a lot for that. And then she started using it for some of the TIA stroke follow-up recovery. Carl's used it for rotator cuff and prostate cancer.
Yeah. You want to hear a story?
Yeah.
No, this is all women in this crowd, isn't it?
No, there's.
There's guys. Okay.
I would like to know about prostate cancer.
Yeah, go ahead, Carol. We got a couple that are interested.
Okay.
Okay, so about a year and a half ago, I showed up in my PSA, that's your prostate serum antigen. That's a blood test, and it jumped from the mid 2s, like 2.6 to 4.8. Radical jump in 1 year. Should be a slow increase if at all. They sent me in for an MRI, and it came back that the probability of having cancer was 90 to 100%, and I had a 1.8 centimeter lesion that was inside the prostate and two smaller ones that were about 5 and 6 millimeters in diameter. And so I immediately, as soon as I saw the serum, the PSA jump, I go, okay, I'm on this. And I started using the prostate cancer frequencies on the VibraGenix, and I put the cell exciters right down where the prostate is. Nobody else uses that cell exciter now, but no, it's not that bad.
Mark Carl.
Yeah.
Anyway, I also added 3 supplements that are supposed to help with prostate. I went back and redid I had no Western medicine done at all. Okay. I went back 3 months later, my PSA went to from 4.6 to 1.1. And my size of my big tumor shrank from 1.8 to 1.5. The 2 small ones disappeared. I'm going in every 3 to 4 months, getting my PSA measured and having the MRI done every 3 to 4 months. And so I'm in active surveillance. The big one continues to shrink, and my PSAs are down around 0.6 now. And
Which, by the way, that's unheard of in somebody that's 80 to have a PSA that's that low. The other thing he did that's super, super important with any cancer patients is that you alkalinize your body. Meat, alcohol, sugar, and emotional stress are the most acidifying things for the body. So there's things you can do, like eating ginger. Ginger is the most alkalinizing food there is. You can even take sodium potassium bicarbonate and put it in water and drink it. Add lemon to all your water. All of those things will help alkalinize your body, but you really have to, when you're dealing with cancer, you have to alkalinize as well. I don't know if you didn't alkalinize, you remained really acidic with all the bad habits or whatever else. I don't know.
You know,
It sort of worked on
I
its
did,
own.
I did alkalize myself, real strongly for 3 weeks, backed off a little bit from that. And, yeah, all of these things, I'm a great believer in stacking modalities. In other words, you say, okay, what are all the things that I should do to get rid of this? Maybe they're all only 25%, but I put enough of them together, I get 100%. But right now, nobody's worried about me coming down with metastatic prostate and spreading all over. It's all contained, it's shrunk down, some of it's disappeared. And this is the power when you start using energy healing and some of these things, that because the body wants to naturally heal. I was already on the VibraGenix. I was already eating really cleanly. Okay. I was doing these things that you want to do to stay really healthy. I was already exercising. I was already getting 8 hours of sleep. I was getting some stress. I'll admit that. And I'm ready to kill her, not my wife, my daughter.
Oh, like me?
Anyway, that's a figure of speech. I'm not actually going to do that. Anyway, I'm not even thinking about doing that. So anyway, that's where
He has Tourette's. Just kidding.
So you have a specific program for prostate cancer then?
Yes, yes.
yes,
And prostate cancer frequencies.
there are a lot of cancer frequencies built into the VibraGenix. And my wife came down with breast cancer. We've done a similar kind of thing with her. She said, because hers was metastatic, we did do some of the Western medicine. We do it very different than the typical. So she was never really sick or anything. She's doing awesome. If you want to know about that, I can share what we'll be glad to share on what we did there too. But we also used the VibraGenix. We used insulin potentiated therapy, which none of the insurance is paid for. You had to pay for that out of your pocket, but is much milder than, well, it's only 15 to 20% of a typical chemo dose. And so you're never sick. You don't lose your hair. And it works just as well, probably even better than traditional, poison use. She did have to have surgery because she was metastatic. She had lymph nodes involvement before they discovered it. She had her mammograms every year. They never found it. Even 3 months before we discovered it, she'd had a mammogram. They went back and read them a second time, says, we still don't see it on the mammogram. That's why thermography is so much more effective than mammograms for detecting breast cancer. Whoa, did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh.
He gets on a roll.
Yeah, don't get me talking. Don't give me a microphone. I'm done. You're done. I mean,
Anybody else?
What's it do for arthritis?
So there are frequencies for arthritis as well. So Dr. Royal is the one that did a ton of frequency medicine research and a ton in the field of cancer. And, it's unfortunate because he came up with some really effective things and he went straight to traditional medicine, hoping they'd adopt it. And they did not. And we have taken all of his frequencies, which in electrical pulse, they are somewhat effective in the body. I think they're really effective in some cases, but in sound frequency format, because those sound frequencies are going to every part of your body, much, much, much more effective as far as Rife goes.
so with that, I'm going to comment. We have a lot of over at the Pacific Clinic. Anyway, forget I said that, but there's a Pacific Clinic that we set up that's all energy frequency medicine stuff. And we treat arthritics there frequently. One of the things that we have to do is we have to remove the underlying cause, because arthritis is an autoimmune disease. And so you've got to find the underlying cause. And it's almost always inflammatory foods. And so that's the thing that we eliminate first before we even, as part of the treatment. But then we can actually, we've seen cartilage regrow, just when you image it. So
But using the joint pain frequencies are actually for arthritis, and using those along with inflammation really makes a big difference
yes.
in the DNA repair.
So anyway, but we're heavy on, getting people to comply with non-inflammatory diet. And
Go ahead. sir.
Caroline makes me eat that way. So does my wife.
Can't get my husband to, but
But he's doing awesome. Go ahead.
sir.
I've spoken to Jamie a little bit about this, but do you have any case studies on Parkinson's?
on what?
Parkinson's.
Yes. We have a Parkinson protocol over at the Pacific Clinic. And it uses the VibraGenix, but it doesn't use the VibraGenix by itself. We use other modalities with it. And we've had tremendous results in reversing Parkinson's. And it's a slow process. You don't take them back immediately, but we've been able to reverse them. I'm trying to remember the scoring scale on it. The one lady I'm thinking of in particular was a 42, which is late stage 2, if I recall. And she's now down at a 17 in her stage, and it's been about a 2-year process so far. So it's not quick, but we do bring them back and make them do so much better to get rid of, she's no longer loses her balance. She had some shakes and is basically gone now.
But we do with the VibraGenix, and then we actually we have a regenerative center here, and we use really strong red light therapy, which is really good with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, helps with neuropathy, all of that. So we have red light therapy, and we put it together with the oxygen and the Parkinson's protocol on the machine, and we get really good results.
We also use the PEMF on our Parkinson's patients,
Yeah.
which we also have here also. Anyway, so there's a lot of interesting things happening with Parkinson's. Again, it's another autoimmune disease. They form Lewy bodies, and that's kind of like lewd, but it's with a Y. And that's very similar to Alzheimer's in the way that it forms. And we've also worked with dementia and Alzheimer's patients and are able to reverse those processes too. Crazy stuff, right?
I mean, one of the biggest is the immune system.
Yeah, and anytime you have an autoimmune based disease, there's a frequency formula in the machine called immune system stabilization, and that's what you want to use for autoimmune diseases or any kind of allergy system. Especially with allergies, it's your immune system overreacting, just like every other autoimmune disease. So if you're dealing with COVID recovery or something like that, you want to stimulate the immune system. If you're dealing with autoimmune or allergies, you want to stabilize the immune system.
Another question.
The autoimmune, go ahead. I'll stop. I keep talking.
Okay, if you are dealing with trauma, could you have negative effects if you were to choose the wrong frequency?
So, okay, so running the trauma frequencies, there is actually a trauma frequency panel. I would run that. I would do all the chakras, all the ancient tones. Your negative effect may be tears, which is, I believe, a positive effect. But I take it in stages. So if it's somebody that's had a lot of trauma, I don't do it every day. I do anything that builds a system, balances a system on days in between. Maybe start with 1 or 2 days a week of removing the trauma, but you really got to get rid of that trauma because, according to Oriental medicine, which again is much older than ours, that is the underlying cause of all disorder, dysfunction, and disease. So really important to move it.
And ramp it up from 10 minutes on low to maybe 15 on medium as you build it up, so you don't go ultra 20 minutes and boom, you have a major trauma release. So just kind of work up.
Tears are the most common one I've seen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They get off crying.
But
they're happy tears.
But it's good because we have memories in our tears and energy, and it's good to move that through.
I want to clarify. Were you talking about physical trauma? Like how do you heal injuries?
No,
No,
like,
I think more of
like mental trauma, emotional
Okay,
trauma.
that's what she addressed.
Yeah.
Physical trauma is amazing too, though. It's you address it differently, but
And there's depression, anxiety,
I do.
depression, anxiety, frequencies.
Yeah, and using all the mood elevation at the same time that you're releasing the trauma and doing the ancient tones and all of that.
Now, there's a deep sleep frequency that she told me, there's an athlete in New York that had insomnia, and so she goes, do deep sleep and TVSW, and she goes, but make sure he's not driving,
Yeah.
because it's that effective of a frequency.
Even the insomnia frequencies,
Yeah.
I've had people like get off the machine and like not think they can drive.
They're yawning.
But a lot of that trauma energy also will keep people awake at night. So moving the machine on its own is going to move trauma out of the system. And that's where a lot of I've had people with chronic back pain. I'll tell you a quick story. People that bought the very first production machine, they live not too far from here, like 50 miles. And he bought it for his wife for weight loss and for depression, because she'd been on all kinds of antidepressants. They weren't working very effectively. And about 6 months later, we checked in with them, see how they're doing, and asked him if he was getting on the machine. Oh yeah, have you noticed anything? He goes, well, my shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. I said, well, I never knew your shoulder hurt. He never complained about anything. He gotten thrown off a horse. They're horse people. Thrown off a horse 10 years before and landed on concrete and tore up his shoulder and had it repaired. But he had constant pain, and he lived on ibuprofen, 3 of them every 3 to 4 hours, every day for 10 years. And he wasn't even running the trauma frequencies. He was just being on the machine, and it moved that trauma block, and he didn't have to take ibuprofen anymore for the last 6 months. It took 4 sessions to do that. Probably would have gone faster if he used the trauma frequencies and put the cell exciters on his shoulder, but really, really amazing things like that.
Yeah, I think Jamie even had a gentleman with migraine, and it was like 1 session or 3, and it was gone, Jamie.
That's great, yeah. We've had some pretty profound ones lately. I'll have to share some more stories for sure. Okay, got a couple more questions. Go ahead.
When it comes to treating chronic pain, like pinched nerves, deteriorating discs, bulging discs, things like that, how does this work for that?
Chronic pain, like pinched nerves.
That's what I heard.
Deteriorating discs, bulging discs, those sort of things.
So if you have a nerve impingement, you might need chiropractic. I would suggest stretching while you're on the machine. I always suggest people move on the machine. In fact, if you're doing light weights on the machine, you'll tighten, tone, and build muscle up to 50% faster. But doing stretching while you're on the machine to release that tightness, because usually what happens is you get a pinched nerve or something's wrong in the body. So your muscles tighten up to try and prevent any further injury. So stretching and the tightening up makes the nerve pinched even harder. So being on the machine and doing stretching is really, really good for releasing that pain. Laying on it's even better, especially if it's in the back.
Yeah, if you have low back pain, you ought to lay on the plate, support your head with something, one of Jamie's weights and weight stack.
A little footstool.
And a little footstool for your feet. Oh, for your head. Okay. And run those frequencies while you're laying on it, so there's no compression on it while it's doing that. We also have a technique for anybody ever get acute back spasm. They just can't stand up straight or sit down. You're kind of wandering around. You go, what do? You go to the doctor and they go, okay, here's some muscle relaxants, and then you go to the chiropractor and it says, I can't adjust you because it's too tight. We can get rid of that usually in 30 to 45 minutes on this machine. There's a stretch you have to do ahead of time. We put out a video on it, didn't we?
No, but we can.
Oh, we haven't put a video out on it.
We will.
We're going to put a video out on it of how you do that. And then you get on the VibraGenix and you stand on the VibraGenix with the right frequencies running for 10 minutes. And then the next 10 minutes, you slowly move, and there's specific motion you want to go through to loosen up and strengthen that lower back. But it's incredibly effective. Anybody that comes in, we do it for nothing, but I'm sure they pay way more than nothing to get out of pain. And they walk away and it's 80 to 100% gone in 1 session.
It's your frequency medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
That's why we made the speaker so strong. You could put your feet up there, you can stretch, you could grab the.
RJ can give you a demonstration if you want. Very flexible. Oh, I think he's going to. Look at that. He does this all the time.
You can pull and stretch. Your legs up. Jamie knows. I showed him. He knows.
Tell me everything, aren't they?
But yeah, you want to stretch as it's doing its frequencies. You can like just hold your head and you'll feel it start to help separate and relax the muscles. And then you put it the other way. But yeah,
Yeah, if
best thing you can do is move and stretch while you're on VibraGenix.
you've had neck trauma, getting on while you're on the machine, like doing range of motion with your neck, will usually get rid of that.
You want
Any of
to,
those issues you have.
you do want to do, you don't want to just put you put the cell exciters right on the traps at the same time, but you don't want to just stand there and say, oh, get better. You want to go through a full range of motion, but not push into pain.
Mhm.
So you go as far as you can, but you don't go that little bit further where it starts to hurt. And you go all the three axes. So you rotate, you tilt. What's the other one?
There's a lady here, a couple here that bought one, and she'd had neck pain since she tried to do derby cars or something at the fair. And she got T-boned and she had neck problems ever since. She couldn't turn all the way to one side. And she started doing the neck exercises while she was on the machine, and she has full range of motion, no pain now. Part of that's getting rid of the trauma too.
Got a couple more
We
questions.
could go
there.
another hour just on testimonials.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, good.
Is it safe in pregnancy?
Is it safe for pregnancy?
You know, I have had pregnant women that have owned a machine, gotten pregnant, kept using it. Just because liability with pregnancy is so high, we don't recommend it. We recommend that you wait and use it postpartum for recovery. It's just sound frequency, but you know, if anything's wrong when that baby's born, they're gonna look at the anomaly. What was different? What was this crazy machine you used?
Eli, go ahead.
I got a question on
Brain epilepsy.
Okay, that's,
Go ahead,
no, you start.
go ahead.
We treat epileptics over at Civic Clinic, and we do use this machine. We also use the hyperbaric chamber. But most importantly, the study out of Johns Hopkins University says that you've got to get rid of the inflammatory foods. And so we start them on a carnivore diet for 3 weeks, and then we go to a paleo diet. They can't have any inflammatory foods at all. And we've had people that have gone totally off their epileptic meds and gone for years now with no recurrence or no auras or seizures on epilepsy. So you want to use the machine, plus you need to introduce the other cause. And most of the time it's the inflammatory foods. It can be other things. So some of the other things you got to look at is periodontal disease, heavy metal poisoning, herbicides and pesticides if you're in an agricultural area or work in the agricultural field, actually, and looking for things like Lyme's disease and a few other even more bizarre things. We can test for all those things if the food by itself doesn't work.
Yeah, and there's chemical detox. I find that pesticides, herbicides, chemical poisoning, mercury detox, and there's frequencies for all of that. Your cells will kick out those chemicals, even mercury, if you use the right frequency formulas for it. And then also the inflammation frequencies, but trying to get that inflammation down in the body makes a big difference. But that chemical toxicity can play into a lot of things, even, you know, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and all kinds of things. Find it with a lot of farmers around here that have dealt with a lot of pesticides their whole life. So
Yeah. We run a clinic here and a couple just walked in case
Yeah.
you wondered what's going on here.
Somebody wants to buy a machine.
it's a regenerative center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do all kinds of things here.
Got any more great?
Just a
Oh,
couple
they're not
couple
crazy.
more questions. We'll
I'm
let
the
you guys
crazy
get back
one.
and, yeah, let you guys get back to work. Couple more questions and we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
here. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right.
Menopause.
I couldn't hear that.
Topic on menopause.
It's something in menopause.
Yeah, just yeah.
Menopause?
Yeah, just talk about menopause.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
So there's a hormonal balance frequency that is really great. I have an employee that her husband loved it when she started using the VibraGenix because he said it was her anti-bitch mode. That's what he called the frequency, but it like lifted all that crankiness that she was just experiencing on a daily basis, apparently. And she is now one of the happiest people I know. But really, really balancing that out is really important.
Good.
What about like people with like liver issues and bowel issues? Like, I
Liver.
don't need to liver that. Yeah, like is there any kind of like regeneration? Or...
So there's liver support frequencies that I use along with the DNA repair. So that together really is quite effective. If there's there's a lot of different frequencies for colitis, for all kinds of diverticulitis, all kinds of colon problems, intestinal problems. So constipation, all kinds of things.
That one typically needs an anti-inflammatory diet also, by
Yeah,
the way.
we use
We- We just use that,
and
anybody
inflammation.
that's having any kind of inflammation kind of problems and.
I look at, because, of my degrees, I look at things like allergens in the system. Sometimes all of the bowel problems are because they're ingesting something they're actually allergic to. It can be something as simple as wheat. So going on the anti-inflammatory diet that he's referring to, it eliminates a lot of those kind of things on their own. So I think that helps people. When I see clients like one-on-one, I have them keep a 5-day, diet log. I want to know everything they're eating and drinking, even if it's whiskey and Twinkies. And then I can figure out how to balance it, do what I need to do, and figure out what it is that's trying to triggering them. Sometimes I have found it's even the supplements people are taking, oddly enough. That is something that their system can't deal with. So trying to figure out what the root cause is, once again, is important, but you can also treat the symptoms and support each organ.
Yeah, very true. Good.
If we sent Jamie the anti-inflammatory,
No, but we can send it.
would you like that, Jamie? It's a one-sheeter.
Absolutely. Yeah,
We pass it out to everybody that starts the program in here.
absolutely. Any more questions?
Should probably ask, not to be a negative Nancy here, but just curious, are there any possible side effects or long-term studies on possible side effects with regards to using VibraGenix?
So the only side effect I have ever seen with this technology is that if people are really toxic and they're on it too much, some people go crazy. They'll buy one for their home and, well, we have somebody here.
Well, that's not the side effect.
She 4 hours the first day. She spent 4 hours on the machine and she got sick not too long after because she detoxified too quickly. She sounds,
They call that herxing also.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
so that's the
Too
only,
much too soon
that's
sometimes.
the only thing I've ever seen is people detoxifying too quickly.
Jason, I want to look like you when I grow up.
Who?
Jamie, I want to look like you when I grow up.
I want to be like you when I grow up. Too, Carol. We'll trade one day. We'll trade. Okay, guys. No, I let you guys go. Get back to your work. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Absolutely. It's been fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't believe you got all these wonderful people together. It's just terrific to have this conversation. I love to come up there. It's one of my favorite ski is to go up into Canada and go snow skiing. It's crazy up there. So much fun. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Jamie, for bringing all this technology to all these wonderful people.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.